everybody. Welcome back to Accepting Reality. Big breaking news, big fun, exciting episode, hopefully. Jake, how you doing tonight?
Good. I don't care. Hey, listen, folks, please beware. Let me give a disclaimer. Okay. Keep your headset, microphone, volume down. David's going to yell. Actually, come to think of it, I'm going to move away from way back here. Because you're a little upset today. So I'm going to be back here. You keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm heated.
You just take it from here. I'm going to be way over here. All right.
I'm real heated, and for obvious reasons, I think, if you keep up with the general news, last night at, I don't even know, 10:30, 11 p.m., I don't even know when the story broke from Politico. I know it was late at night.
About 10,
a draft of an opinion was leaked from the Supreme Court. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't happen. This is not something that happens. You don't hear their rulings. You don't read their opinions until it's final, until their votes have been cast and they've written their piece. So for them to leak it, first of all, completely shady by whoever did it. I don't know who did it, but whoever did it, I think they had ill intention. And the decision that was leaked in this draft was to overturn the highly controversial topic of abortion, and it was to overturn the ruling of Roe v. Wade, which I think was a sham, but we'll get into that. Roe v. Wade essentially said, under the right to privacy that every American citizen has, the states cannot completely restrict abortion. That is what Roe v. Wade said, that it's a federally protected right to privacy. That's what it said. And overturning it would simply mean that a state can fully outlaw it. Like, it's just not allowed. It could be criminalized. It could be penalized. That's all Roe v. Wade would do. It will not ban abortion in all 50 states, including Puerto Rico, as some stupid people on the left are saying today. It would not criminalize people who are abused or assaulted wrongly and tried to get an abortion. It's completely untrue, complete lies by the media. I'm not surprised that the media lies like this. Is the only way they get money. But man, the fact that this leaked tells me somebody was trying to scare those justices to vote no. They didn't like that they were going to shut it down, so they used an intimidation tactic. And I want the person who leaked it, I want him arrested. That's treason. That's insurrection. That's real insurrection, not January 6th, where you took a stroll and took pictures in the Capitol. Give me a break. That's just round one. Don't worry. There's more.
Deep breaths.
Yeah.
Are you surprised, though? Really?
They leaked it?
Yeah.
No, I thought they would just full on like go on martial law. You know what I mean? Like, this is their sacrament. Rush Limbaugh said probably like 10 or 15 years ago, maybe it was more recent, that liberalism is a religion and their Holy Eucharist is abortion. I know that's pretty blasphemous to, like, obviously he didn't mean it to be blasphemous. He was just trying to show the magnitude of how they value this stuff. So
right.
Yeah, this could get civil unrest level, like George Floyd. That's at least what I think is going to happen. All the white knights on TikTok, who are probably the weakest men on the planet, said that we need to, stand up and prepare to be violent to defend the rights of women. The guys who have probably never held a woman's hand are telling us now we need to fight for women. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm naive. I'm not a woman. So, well, I don't. Let me say this. Let me take that back. I don't identify as a woman. Okay. I don't identify as a gopher sniffing transmasculine woman. Whatever that is, that's a thing somewhere in this world. But one of the arguments that has always been made by feminists, specifically about abortion, is that if you're a man, you get no say. Basically have an opinion. Now, they don't necessarily come out and say it a lot, but that's what they mean. Can't have an opinion on it because you can't give birth, therefore you shouldn't have a say on whether or not it gets banned, it gets, promoted, whatever. But I think it's funny how you can definitely have an opinion on abortion if you're for it, but if you're against it and you're a man, that's a problem.
Yep. Only if you're on their side are you allowed to as a man. Yeah, it's crazy. You want to hear another one? So do you know Senator Warnock, I think is how you say his last name? He's a Democrat senator from Georgia.
Georgia, yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
he's a pro Karl Marx Christian pastor. I don't think those things can go together, but
He was the
apparently
guy
to
that
him,
just got right. He just got in last
yeah,
couple of years. Yeah.
allegedly. He got in 2020 against David Perdue, where the vote count randomly had to be stopped. And then at 3 a.m., allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, this is strictly allegedly. YouTube, don't try anything. So yeah, he was elected. I did air quotes with my fingers, but you can't see it. He said today that he has always preached that there is no room for the United States government in the doctor's office with a pregnant mother trying to make a choice. This guy is supposed to be a pastor of Christ, and he's just said that there should be no one interfering between a murdering of a child. You literally, your Bible that you're supposed to be teaching, I don't know what you're teaching, says that God knows everyone from the moment of conception. And one of the Psalms, I had known you for you were fearfully and wonderfully made. Like this is basic Christian and not Catholic, not like Lutheran. This is like general Christian across anyone who identifies with Christ in the Bible knows that life begins at conception and believes it. Apparently not, though, because you can find your way around things because you need to be in the good graces of the leftist mafia that runs our society today.
Well, right. That's exactly it. I mean, plus, too, I think it's, again, if you're talking about abortion, if anybody was to come and want to debate me about abortion, the first thing I would say would be, okay, well, where do you think life begins? Because if it begins at birth for them, then there's no point in arguing, because it's a whole different kind of conversation to convince somebody that the biological makeup of a child starts at conception versus at birth, than to just say, well, this is why abortion is bad, because the basis is totally wrong. But if you subside by the Bible, like this guy says, then there is no room for a change of opinion. You can't have an opinion if you believe in the Bible and what the Bible says about life in general.
Yep.
So it's like you said, it's just conforming to voters. That's all it is. Yep. It's just he's looking ahead for the next couple of years, his career. That's all he cares about, because this is a hot topic issue, right? It just came out. This was a huge news break, and now he's trying to be one of those first people that tweets about it, and therefore gets people say, you know what, yeah, good for him. He's sticking up for blah blah blah. Women's rights. If I hear one more women's rights about how this is for women's rights, I am going to blow a staff, because this is not about women's rights. I don't understand. And we really need to find somebody who has the opposite opinion, because I truly want to ask them, and only one thing. And I want to say, how does women's rights come into a situation where you have a scenario where a woman is pregnant, does not want the baby, not out of financial, medical issues, anything like that. They just don't want the baby because of the inconvenience. They're not ready. They're trying to pursue their 30-year career, and so they don't want the baby now.
It was
because they don't want the baby, they're going to kill it. Where does women's rights play into that scenario? I would love to know.
Yeah, because as far as I'm concerned with men's rights, we don't get to just kill things that are inconvenient to us, because, man, driving would be really difficult.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So I want to.
Are you saying that women are bad drivers? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I'm just saying that I get angry on. I think most men get pretty angry driving, and we just can't kill people who are inconvenient to us on the road. Yeah.
I'm saying that women are bad. Go ahead.
I want to get into this one really quick, because this isn't being talked about. So the document got leaked, right? And since it got leaked, no one has actually quoted the document. That's normal for the left, though. They just see the headline and then they react to the headline before actually knowing what's actually going on. So this is an excerpt from the document originally released by Politico. I'm finding excerpts of it on the New York Times and Fox News articles from today. This is from Justice Alito, who is the leader of the vote of the majority. And he said that we hold that Roe and Casey is the second case that was involving abortion. I believe it was in the early 2000s. I could be wrong. We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled. Justice Samuel Alito writes in the document labeled Opinion of the Court for the Case of Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. This is the case that the left-wing district attorneys brought to the Supreme Court appealing it because I believe this was Mississippi who came out with like no abortion after 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he says it is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. What is wrong with that? Someone tell me who doesn't hate America like the left openly does. Someone tell me what is wrong with giving this issue back to the elected representatives so the people have a direct say in whether they allow abortion in state by state basis. Right.
Well, let me pose this question to you because this was something that I immediately thought of when I saw this tweet. George, I'm not going to say his name correctly because he's annoying. George Teriyaki, who was on the Star Trek.
Yeah, he was Sulu
franchise. Yeah, right. He's very liberal. He's one of those people that he doesn't have anything better to do with his life. He's older. Nobody's asking him to be on TV.
Yeah, he's just making money off Star Trek. That's it.
Right. And no one really cares enough about him to get his name or his face on their whatever they're selling. So all he does now is just tweet. And he's just one of those people that has a lot of free time. So he just tweets. And he tweets not once or twice a day, like 20 times.
I imagine quite a bit, yeah.
And it's all left-leaning stuff. So I mean, he really he's got a lot of opinions. But he tweeted 4 hours ago. He says, quote, "We need a constitutional amendment protecting the right to privacy. A federal law is only as strong as the party in power can hold firm. Republicans are already agitating about passing a national abortion ban. Without a constitutional guarantee, this could happen." My question is, how come that's okay to say when it comes to abortion and say, well, the Republicans, they're going to get control, so therefore they want to get rid of abortion, and in order to fight that, we need to have a constitutional right. But it's okay for the left to attack the Second Amendment. That's an amendment.
It's been around for like, I don't know, it's almost 300 years. All right.
And you can't have a gun. You can't have a gun. You can't have as many guns as you want. You can't do that because that would be a threat to everybody else, even though there's an amendment protecting that.
Yes. And there already is privacy.
Right. And when there's a threat to what somebody else perceives as a threat to women's allegedly women's healthcare and women's rights, but it's not protecting the baby. That's when there all of a sudden needs to be a change of the guard to the Constitution, and everything that needs to be reexamined. And I mean, it's so black and white with these people. It's insane.
It's not even, you and I thought of a really good analogy today. The modern left, which is radical left. I'm not talking about the Democrats 30 years ago, the Bill Clintons and all those people. I'm talking about today.
I did not. Okay, go ahead.
They're like a obsessed sports fan. You have to know people in your life that are like Cleveland Browns fans, so extreme that anything they do, they justify as correct, and anything that they, you know what I mean? Like, they're always going to find a way to support the Browns regardless. And if something is against them, then it's automatically they're the enemy. You know what I mean?
Cubs fans too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've never said Cubs fans are always smart, but but yeah, it's gonna take some flack when that gets released. Oh well. But do you see the comparison?
No,
like
right.
They're so obsessed that they can do no wrong when it's good for them, but the enemies of them can never do anything right. That's
who was it? Was it I think Kathy Griffin? Hold on, let me find this tweet because this made absolutely no sense.
She's the one who held the beheaded Trump.
Yeah,
in a picture. Yeah, psychopath.
She says, no, I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe she's not a fan of Biden. I don't know.
Probably he's not radical enough.
I know she didn't like Trump, so I just assume she's a fan of Biden. But she tweets today a picture of Hillary Clinton, who baffles me that she's even relevant now. When she
they think she's going to run for president.
Those as her word, allegedly. But she says, Kathy Griffin said, Okay, she says, well, first of all, she's an idiot because she goes, Roe v. Wade has been overturned. Yes, I know. Stay in my lane. Well, I'd love to be posting about the Met Gala, but this is the only attendee I care about. President Hillary Clinton would never have let Roe be overturned. So, like I said, maybe she's not a fan of Biden. Maybe that's a dig at Biden.
It is.
For somebody to suggest that because a sitting president affects
rules,
right, that the court is going to take. And I mean, maybe she's talking about because Amy Coney Barrett is in there, and if Hillary had won in 2016, that she, then it would have been a judge that would not have been conservative. Maybe that's what she means. I don't know.
Yeah.
But people are still calling for Clinton to fix this quote egregious attack on women's rights.
I hear one more woman's right.
Women's rights. Let's see. What else we got? Okay.
I don't know if they realize this. A woman is voting to end it. Amy Coney Barrett, as far as I'm concerned, is a woman. I'm pretty sure she's married with children. I could be wrong, but I think so. I think this is a pretty well-known fact. Why? Like you said, so if you're against it, you are not a woman. You're not allowed to have an opinion if you're a man, and you're a brainwashed idiot if you're a woman who just wants to be barefoot and pregnant. If you're against abortion, that's the left's. It's like the same thing with African Americans who are against the left. They're an Uncle Tom. All them, they call them all these other stupid things because it's. If you're not with them, you're against them. Where's Anakin Skywalker? The Sith deals in absolutes, yada, yada, yada. I know all the references. It's
Hillary Clinton says this decision is a direct assault on the dignity, rights, and lives of women, not to mention decades of settled law. It will kill and subjugate women, even as a vast majority of Americans think abortion should be legal.
What?
It's funny. It's ironic how she uses it will kill and subjugate women, even as the vast majority of Americans think abortion should be legal, when it's been killing, 62 million babies since 1973? Since Roe v.
Wade, yeah.
So, I don't know. The double back and the amount of hypocrisy that people play when they use these, because there was no outrage in the Afghanistan withdrawal.
No, that was a disaster.
Right. There's been no outrage at all these babies being murdered, even on a very, very lesser scale. There's no outrage with President Biden at the correspondent dinner, making fun of inflation and making fun of Trump with COVID, when Americans have
more Americans died under COVID with Biden than Trump.
Yeah. Americans have to pay $4 per gallon of gas if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But inflation,
it's $4.50 here.
Oh, inflation is hilarious. That's so we can joke about that all day long, and no one cares about that. Imagine if inflation was almost at 9% when Trump was president, and Trump gets up there and goes, "Hey, the only thing bigger than this is inflation." Ha ha ha. I mean, the amount of tweets I would see from Mr. Teriyaki about quote unquote disgraces, like the fail whale would come up on Twitter. It would just overload the system.
Speaking of Trump, and this is something else I really wanted to stress in this. If this goes through, now I still think there's a chance that this doesn't really happen because of all the backlash now, but who knows? I hope they stay the course. I'm going to pray every day, to the Blessed Mother that they stay the course, because this needs to happen. This is a step towards virtue. This is a step towards God. This needs to happen. So we just can only hope and pray at this point. They tried their sabotage. It's their move. Yeah. When it comes in regards to Trump, now, back in 2016, and even during his presidency, I knew a lot of people who were openly Christian or devout Catholic, devout Christian, devout Protestant, whatever, right? They were all genuinely good people trying to live moral lives, right?
Right.
And they told me that I needed to tone down my support of Trump because he's not a moral human being. If this goes through, every single person who tried to take Trump down and tried to split the Republican Party because they said he was a bad human being, and all those Christian conservatives who did not vote for Trump, you owe him an apology and you owe me an apology for saying these stupid things to me. Because without Trump, these three justices don't get on there. And if this goes through, Trump is the most pro-life president ever. There's no debate. He was it.
Right.
And
yeah.
And these
Absolutely.
Christians, and there are some Catholics that did it too. I'm not surprised. They said, oh, Trump's too nasty and uses vulgar words. I'm pretty sure, now I'm not a scripture aficionado, Christ says in there, by your fruits you will know them. Either it was an epistle or it was actually a word of Christ. Trump may have used very bad language and lived a poor life before he became president, but if his one action was to undo one of the most horrific rulings in American history that has caused 60 million unborn babies, which Catholics believe abortion is a sin that cries out to heaven for vengeance. So this is a really bad thing that's happening mainstream. If Trump's actions were the final step or the beginning step to undo it and change the tide, he was the most pro-life president ever, and we are completely vindicated for supporting him, and I would support him again. And all those Christians and Catholics need to shut up. I'm sorry, I'm so tired of people who are trying to say that I'm not doing my Catholic duty for supporting someone who's immoral, when this guy's about to possibly have been the final factor to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
Well, that brings me to a question that I was going to ask. Internally, has there been a more destructive event than Roe v. Wade to America?
No.
Not internally, not meaning nothing from the outside the country, no other country, no other society. Yeah. Right. Has anything been worse?
No, look what our society has been since then.
So just taking that, if I don't know if anybody would have had any kind of other response than what you just said. I don't know if there's anything that's even close to comparing to Roe v. Wade. But
yeah,
if you take that and somebody was to say, yeah, you're right, it probably has. I'm not for abortion. I'm pro-life. And that has been the worst thing to happen to our country that we've done. Then you can definitely make the point and say, then why doesn't voting for Trump in 2016 justify just because of what's happening now? You couldn't agree with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be impossible to say otherwise, because it's true. It is. I mean, what he did, especially even going back and looking with Amy Coney Barrett, I mean, he instituted her like at the lowest court because he knew that if it ever came to the possibility where a Supreme Court justice seat opened up, that she could take it. And I mean, she went through every single circuit court and every single step, and it was all by him. I mean, he started her from the very beginning, and he didn't just pick her randomly or when she was established, and then he said, "Oh, your resume looks like you started here." No, he helped her every step of the way. Why? Because there were morals she stood for, and this is one of them.
I will never see, like, this was the final straw for me for when it comes to like people on the right who say we need to move on from Trump as of moral reasons. I get political reasons. You and I have talked about it, and I completely get why you think we need to move on from him politically. But if it comes to he's not a good human being, that argument's done. It's finished.
Well, no, I mean, see, my argument is when people said that he was not a good person morally, anybody that you vote for in Congress now, especially, is not a good moral person.
Yeah.
It's just that their dirt has not been shown as much as his was. Let anybody, I don't know, name somebody, name a senator that is presumably a nice guy that's a Democrat. Name somebody, I don't know if you know somebody more like quicker than I do, but think of a senator that's a Democrat that is, you don't really hear anything bad about him.
I would say the senator from Illinois, his name is Dick Durbin. I've never heard a scandal about him. He's just kind of an old guy in the back who doesn't talk much, but he's been there for like 55 years or whatever. I don't know. It's just, that was hyperbole, but he's been around forever.
Let's imagine that he's 20 years younger.
Okay.
And have him run for president.
Yeah.
And have him be close to winning the nomination. And you watch how many bad things come out about him, about how many people come out of the woodwork and say that he said this and he did this and he told this person this. I mean, you watch. That's exactly what it was. People at one point in 2016 had said that Oprah should run. Now,
Yep.
Oprah is the nicest person, allegedly. She's never done anything wrong. She gives money to all these people, blah, 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 blah. But then the perception was she shouldn't run because as soon as she does, that white dress she has on is going to have mud all over it because everyone's going to bring up the allegations of an orphanage that she instituted in Africa. And all this other mumbo jumbo is going to come up, and she's not going to be viewed as that anymore. Exactly, right. And yeah. So it's so hard for me to listen to somebody say that Trump is not a good moral person, therefore I'm not going to vote for him, when no one is really a good moral person Congress that you voted for, and every single person has done a sin at one point in their life.
We're all sinners.
So it doesn't. Again, I mean, let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah,
it's not. It's just you're not going to find one.
I just don't like that right now. This is, and I know people will get mad at me for saying this. This is only happening because Trump was president. Those justices don't get on the court unless Trump is president. So if whether you like it to admit it or not, the Mitt Romneys and the other idiots that call themselves Republicans, yeah, I mean that. Trump was the best conservative president since Ronald Reagan. And if this goes through, I put him higher than Reagan. And I genuinely believe that, because this is more important than any economic decision, than any border wall. This is trying to reverse the decay that we did to ourselves. And whether people want to admit it or not, look at 1973 on, and economically, look at the family rates, look at the divorce rates, look at the crime rates. It's there. Eventually, correlation does mean causation. Sorry, you didn't learn that in your Human Studies 101. And also, I want to get to this point. I was watching Steven Crowder this morning talk about this thing, and he explained to somebody that there are 4 choices every woman can have freely under the Constitution and morally. First one is chastity or abstinence, which is what the Catholic faith says to do until you're married, right? Second one is contraception. If you choose to live that different lifestyle, there are about 72 different ways to get contraception. I don't advocate for it, but it's there. And I'd rather have that than you murdering children, unfortunately, The third one is actually stepping up to the plate after you made your decisions and being a parent. That's called motherhood. And the last one is adoption, which is, I know the left spews all these lies about adoption. When no babies get adopted, they get left and dying in the hospital. All lies. People adopt there's waiting lists to adopt newborn babies. And that's the 4th choice. The 5th one is murder, and we don't want you to have that one. It's simple. You have 4 other ways to go about your life and reproductive health, or whatever you want, whatever fancy leftist stupid term you want to label it with. But I think that's really interesting how he put it. And most people don't put it that way, because there is. If you think about it that way, those are 4 different options you have.
Right. I mean, people, and I want to bring up another point, but in a second. But yeah, I mean, people focus on the decisions that should be made after a woman gets pregnant. You either have the baby or you have an abortion. There's no other option. Well, let's talk about the decisions that you make before you get pregnant. And the maturity and the choices that come along with that. It's not like we can just absolve anybody of doing any wrongdoing, but once they get pregnant, that's the only time we can come in and say, well, these are your options. Well, let's back up and try to avoid that situation altogether.
Yeah, it's that simple.
The other thing I was going to say was, I don't know about now. I know at one point, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, Planned Parenthood, 3% of their activities, whatever you want to call it, services, that's the word I was looking for. 3% of their services was abortion. I don't know if it's up now. I don't know if it's higher. Just in terms of like their revenue, where they get their funding from, all that. It was about 3%, which is not a very big number. And so people then took that number and said, people on the left, and said, well, with all the different benefits that Planned Parenthood provides, why would we shut them down when it's only 3% do the abortions? If the Republicans are so focused on shutting down Planned Parenthood because of abortions, it's only 3%. Who cares? Okay, well, let's go back to 1942. And let's say that the Germans were only torturing and killing 3% of the Jews in their concentration camps. Was that okay?
Nope.
Or should we just say, you know what, since it's only 3%, we don't need to do anything. We don't need to go to war. That's fine. I hope that my friend's family in Poland and in Holland and in Germany and all those countries surrounding Germany, I hope that they're part of the 97%. Because I'm not going to go to war over 3%. 3%, who cares about 3%?
Yep.
So it's just like the rationale that they try to use is hilarious, because they try to look at it like, it's such a low number. Exactly. Because to them, it's a low number. For me,
that's 4% too many.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I just did a little Google search. So I'm looking at Planned Parenthood's annual reports. Yay, me, accountant. They have to do these because they get about $3 billion in federal funding. So I'm glad my taxes go to slaughtering babies. That's another reason.
Is it increased?
No, they actually perform 40% of U.S. abortions are done by Planned Parenthood. That number you stated was a blatant lie. I'm looking at the report.
Well, the number that it was that 3% of their services are abortion. Like 3% of the things that they do for women are abortions.
96.9% of pregnant women at Planned Parenthood end up getting an abortion.
Okay.
It's on their annual report as of 2020.
I don't know what that is. I wonder what the number is now for, like, you know, they do, mammograms, and they do breast cancer screening. Like, they do a whole bunch of other stuff. So how much of what they do is tied to abortion? That's the number I'm curious. But it doesn't matter what the number is. If it's 0.00005%, I don't want them doing it. I mean, if Microsoft was selling computers and then blowing up cities 1% of the time, you wouldn't buy a computer. So why should we keep Planned Parenthood funding? It makes no sense. And exactly right. That's where your tax dollars are going, which taxes is a whole nother issue we could get into. But that's where the money that you make, that you earn, that's where that goes.
Yep. Yeah, it's this issue is always going to boil my blood. I mean, I joined the pro-life club while I was in college. I advocated on their behalf because student government, because I went to a Catholic university that didn't respect the pro-life club. Somebody make that make sense.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, it's
just how it is, because it's just Catholic is around quotation marks.
Yeah,
it's shown through their beliefs.
Well, I mean, that reminds me. So there was a group of kids that were spotted praying the rosary. They're praying all 15 decades of the rosary near the Supreme Court building in DC. And a bunch of screaming lunatic animals, that's what I would call them, because they didn't act like a human. They acted like an animal.
Yep.
They were chanting, "Keep your rosary off my ovaries." That was the exact quote.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Well, this was last night, so I don't know if you saw it this morning, but this was last night. I saw a video
I think they've done
on
that
Twitter.
before.
I'm sure, but these guys, it was like it looked like some young women in there, probably about our age, early to mid 20s. They were just praying the rosary. They weren't in people's face. They had one sign of like Our Lady saying, save the children or something like that. And they were just praying the rosary. And these animals, and that is what they are. And that is what I will call you. If you riot and burn things down, you're an animal. That's it. You're not acting like you're not acting on your human nature that God gave you to act above those passions. You're acting on your animalistic instincts that we have to control our whole life. So I'm curious to see what happens, because I think this report is going to come out soon now. If it comes out 5-4, Roe v. Wade's done, I think you might as well just plan for riots now. I think Antifa is going to pop up.
I think that one thing that people need to be prepared for is that this is not something that, like, I think a lot of people, especially dumb people, think that this whole situation is going to be solved in one day. Like as if tonight they're going and they're just going to be like, okay, here it is. Okay, done. Like this, I think, is going to be a very long, drawn out process just because of the magnitude of it, of like the country is just waiting to see what this happens. And I'm curious, and I wonder what you think about this. Why? I know the like the elections are coming up, you know, for in November, but why do you think that got leaked now? Why do you think why do you think that this was made a story now?
I think
because whoever leaked it is not our friend.
No, right? I think they need to be arrested and tried for treason. And if they're found guilty of treason, it says in the Constitution they can be hung. So I mean, I'm all for that. I think they are imminently close to issuing that statement. I think they were maybe a week or two out from the 5 of them saying Roe v. Wade is done. Because they said when this case first went to the Supreme Court in January of this year that by May or June we will have a verdict. So I think that it was imminently close, and somebody who is in the dissenting group, probably Sotomayor, the same woman who said that the government has the right to mandate any medical treatment in the case of emergency, because that's not a scary precedent. She's another idiot. And said that 100 million kids are dying from COVID. Remember that genius? Yeah.
Einstein.
Yeah. So just speculation, but I do think that it was somebody on the dissent side who leaked it. They said their email was hacked. I don't buy it. I don't.
Another email story. Here we go. Well,
where's Hillary?
I just think it's curious. That's all.
Here's I just saw this on Twitter. Hillary Clinton tweeted this 9 hours ago. You ready for this? If you're in New York this afternoon, so this must have happened today, join my grassroots organizers in support of abortion rights. Channel your rage into action. Abortion is healthcare. Bans off our bodies.
Hold on. Where's Mr. Teriyaki? He said something.
Hold on. Oh, good old Mr. Teriyaki.
I can't. I mean, he basically was like saying that we need to do whatever we need to fight back. But I don't. Oh, here we go. First, they came for Black voters. Then they targeted LGBTQ plus families. Now, women of America, they're overruling Roe v. Wade. We have to unite and strike back. Take to the streets. Overwhelm them at the ballot box. They have gone too blank far.
Well, I like that he didn't say burn cities down. Like, if you want to say go and vote for something, that's fine. That's your right. You have every right to do that. But if you say we need to have violence in the streets, then I got a problem, because you're going to hurt people. You're going to hurt innocent people. Then again, you're trying to have the federally protected right to murder innocent people. So I shouldn't be surprised that you want to hurt other innocent people for your pursuit to murder people or murder unborn children whenever you feel like it, because you just forgot to use contraception or some other stupid reason they come up with.
He also said the extremist religious radical right must be stopped. And to show how insignificant Mr. Teriyaki is, he tweeted that like almost 24 hours ago, and he has like 2,000 likes. So no one cares what he has to say, but he thinks he does. That's why he tweets 500 times a day. So I don't know. I just think it's going to be interesting. I think that it's curious why this came out now. I think everything that happens when it's pointed towards some big political issue, I think it's always curious why it happens, the reason it happens. But
well, it looks like Jake might have dropped off. If that's the case, I'll end the episode. Thank you, everybody. We'll see if he gets back in. I hope you enjoyed this. This was a hot topic. First time I've ever. Oh, Jake is back. Okay. All right. So he is back. Sorry, we have connection issues here, except DJ Media. We don't. Internet's not in the budget yet, so everybody.
We need more funding.
Yeah,
enough money.
So
but anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be real interesting. I was gonna wrap up the episode. I wasn't sure if something happened, so I was starting to do the ending. But anyways, thank you again, everybody, for listening. I know this was a one-topic episode that ranged almost 40 minutes, but I think it's necessary. As we said, Roe v. Wade was kind of the tide turning in the wrong direction. So if we can get it, if it truly is overturned and some states start outlawing abortion, like Texas has a trigger bill in place. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, Texas will fully ban all abortions, which would be amazing. So pray. As Pope St. Pius X said, do penance, prayer, and vote. Those are the three things he said when he was trying to vote out communists in Italy. He was very active politically, and he said that Catholics should be at certain times as well. So that's what I think a good thing to end on. Follow us on what's up.
Yeah, I think just so you don't, so you can survive the night. I think maybe it would be a good idea to acknowledge someone's birthday.
Yes.
Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
you're welcome. Oh
yep,
yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't gonna say it. Today was my wife's birthday, and unfortunately, she's sick. I think she's got a cold. I don't know. We didn't get COVID tested. We probably just super spread it. Who knows?
Hey, can you just say happy birthday and let it go?
Happy birthday, Lizzie.
Political super spread COVID thing.
Super spreader? No. Happy birthday, Lizzie. I love you. Thank you for always helping me with this stuff. It's I wouldn't know what I'm doing, and she makes it sound way better. So thank you for being the one behind the scenes.
You're welcome.
Yep. That's you. You were my best man for a reason.
Yep, I know. Let's just save you. You're welcome. All right. So let me see if I get this right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Twitter.
Okay. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple.
Got it. Yep.
Apple Pay.
Apple
We have Snapchat, Coldplay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, wait, and then the last thing is wait, I need to write this down. It is the distribution or copyright of this program cannot be distributed without the or disseminated without the express written consent of DJ Media.
There you go. Yeah, you need to write that down. I need it at the end of every episode.
I think I said distributed about 5 times, but that's it. Okay, I'm done.
They get the message. Well, all right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoy. Please keep praying that this gets overturned, and have a good night.